August 5, 1990. Asha Degree is born to parents Harold and Aqualash is their second child, and they live on 3404 Oak Crest Drive in Shelby, North Carolina. Asha was born into a deeply religious and close-knit family, along with her older brother O'Brien. They attended Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday, which Aisha loved. They lived on the same street as their Aunt Alicia and grandmother Joanne at school. Aisha was a remarkable young student. Her excellent attendance record and enthusiasm for learning, especially science and mathematics, made her a standout pupil. She was also a talented basketball player, but her ultimate dream was to become an illustrator. On February 2000, Asha played in a basketball game. It was important to her, as it was the first game of the season, but her team suffered a defeat. Basketball was a big passion for Aisha, and the loss upset her greatly. She blamed herself as she had fouled out during the game. That night she stayed at her cousin's and her mood started to improve. 2 days later, it was her parents' anniversary, Valentine's Day. Due to bad weather and a car crash, the house lost power that evening, but regained it just after midnight. Harold was wide awake, so stayed up to watch television. He checked on his children again at around 2:30 that morning. During the night, Aisha's brother O'Brien heard her moving in her bed. He then heard her get up and go to the bathroom at 5:45. Akila woke to run a bath for her children. When she went to wake them up, she realized Aisha wasn't in bed. She assumed she had simply gotten herself up, but after realizing she wasn't downstairs and that her book bag and house key were gone, she started to panic. They called Aisha's grandmother Joanne and Aunt Alicia to see if she was with them. When they confirmed that they hadn't seen her either, her family called 911 just after 6:30 a.m. Sheriff Dan Crawford and officers from the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene and started their search. The State Bureau of Investigation also arrived to scour the area, and just after 2 p.m., the Degree house was cordoned off. Officers were stumped by the strange disappearances. Sniffer dogs were unable to pick up a scent, and there were no signs of a break-in or forced entry. The front and back door could be opened from the inside without a key, and there was no evidence of foul play in the house. The weather that night had been terrible, so why would a 9-year-old girl leave so suddenly? The police put a call out to local residents and neighbors to see if anyone had seen her, and by that afternoon they had 2 separate leads. One of them was a 25-year-old truck driver who had seen her face on the news while having his lunch. He had been driving his truck down the highway when he noticed Aisha walking by herself. He circled around 3 times, but when she spotted him, she left the road and ran into the woods. The second person who saw her was a former deputy with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. He was trucking with his son and noticed a small figure walking along the highway. They didn't stop but put a call out to their truckers to be on the lookout. After speaking with his wife and realizing the possible connection to he went to the command post at Mulls Memorial Baptist Church to report the potential sighting. After checking the house, it appeared she'd taken some candy clothes, paper and pencils along with her book bag. The police were baffled. Both investigators in her family couldn't understand why a mild-mannered and polite girl who followed the rules and had a happy home life would leave in the middle of the night. She was also terrified of dogs, and this would sometimes make her too scared to leave the house. The police widened the search to a 5-mile radius and carried on looking. It wouldn't be long before they found a potential trace of the missing Asha. Volunteers approached Raleigh and Debbie Turner and asked them to check their property for her. They owned an upholstery business, and on the plot of lands did an old doorless shed that was about 300 feet off the road. After looking in the shed, they found wrappers that matched the candy she had been given at her basketball game. They also found a Minnie Mouse hairbow and a marker pen. Along with this, there was also a picture of a little girl. They handed the photo over to the police, but believed the other items were too far away from the house to be Asha's. The following day, they turned the other items over to investigators. Her family immediately identified all of them except one as belonging to Asha. They had never seen the photograph before, nor did they recognize the little girl, and neither did anyone from Asha's school. Based on this, the police theorized that she had walked south down Highway 18, where she was seen running into the woods. Debbie Turner's upholstery was around 20 minutes from where she'd lived on February 20th, and 9,000 man-hours later the official search was called off. The authorities had gone through the area with a fine-tooth comb, but were confident that she wasn't there. In order to rule them out as suspects, her family undertook polygraph tests. In March of that year, and they all passed, to offer an incentive for any information that would lead them to finding Asha. Her family put their money together and raised money from the local community to offer a $5,000 reward. They also put up a billboard where she had last been seen in a desperate bid to generate any new leads. Also in March, Sheriff Crawford decided to re-interview Asha's brother and her friends. She called upon the expertise of Kimberly Poirier, who was renowned in interviewing children. Her friends offered nothing substantial but mentioned that Asha had shown them some money she had in her purse on February 10th. It is not known where the money came from or if it was still in her possession when she disappeared. The summer of 2000 brought a twist to the case that nobody was expecting. A former classmate of Asha's mother, a man called Baron Ramsey, confessed to being involved in her disappearance. He said that he and another man had been taking part in a drug deal when they had accidentally hit Asha as she was walking down Highway 18. He said they knew instantly that she was dead and dragged her into the truck before driving to Moss Lake and dumping her body into the water. The police did 2 thorough searches of the lake but could find no trace of a body. They also went to where Ramsey said she'd been hit and killed. They could find no evidence of an accident nor any of Asha's blood. They believed he was trying to strike a better deal in an armed robbery case he was involved in, and as a result he had made the whole thing up. Almost 18 months would pass before any new evidence came to light. August 2, 2001. Terry Fleming, a contractor, was doing work on a driveway along Highway 18. As he continued to dig up the ground, he found a black plastic bag. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. And after he finally got it open, he saw what was inside. It was a beige and black book bag with the name Asha Degree written in it alongside a phone number. He was unable to get service to call someone about it, so he wrote down the details and headed home. He mentioned what he had found to his wife the following morning. She instantly recognized the name and told him to contact the police straight away. According to Sheriff Crawford, the bag had been buried for some time and had also been double-wrapped. Law enforcement coy about what exactly was in the bag, but Crawford said that 90 to 99 of the contents belonged to Asha. The Charlotte Observer reported that the items included clothing, a sheet of paper, and a pencil case. Authorities brought in cadaver dogs, which alerted to 3 spots close to where the bag had been found, but nothing would come of this. They also found a pair of men's khaki trousers, and it is unclear if they are related to the book bag. 1 year after Asha Degree had gone missing, Wayne Thomas, who was heading up the investigation into her disappearance, was fired. He had allegedly been withholding evidence relating to her case. He denied this and said he had been excluded from the investigation by other detectives. He would later be rehired after Dan Crawford's bid for re-election as county sheriff failed. More than 2 years after Asha Degree had disappeared, investigators started looking into a pair of brothers who both had terrifying criminal records. Danny Ray Johnson had been charged with abducting a girl and raping her in the woods before leaving her tied to a tree. He also admitted to another attack on an 18-year-old girl days prior. His brother, Herbert Johnson, was also a convicted rapist and self-confessed murderer. After investigators found her bag, he was questioned. His violent track record and the fact he lived in the area at the time made him a person they wanted to talk to. He provided DNA and hair samples and said that when Aisha had gone missing, his brother was in prison out of state, and he had been in a psychiatric hospital on the 16th of September. Investigators said that Herbert and Danny Ray Johnson had for now been ruled out. January 12, 2015, a 52-year-old man called Donald Ferguson is arrested. This home in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He's being arrested on suspicion of a horrific murder from 1990. Shalonda Paul was a 7-year-old girl who had been sexually assaulted, strangled, and stabbed 19 times before. Her body was dumped behind Greensboro Elementary School. In North Carolina, he had previously been arrested for the sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl in Spartanburg but posted bail while awaiting trial and moved to Greensboro, where he met Shalonda for 17 years. Shalonda's case would go unsolved. It wasn't until 2007 that it was reopened. A forensics team pored over the evidence and were able to extract DNA. It was the DNA of Donald Ferguson, break in an old case decades old, involving the death and sexual assault of a young girl. News 4's Sean Mozzarella live and local at the Spartanburg County Jail for us. This Morning in Sean. What can you tell us about this cold case that now appears to be solved? Well, the crime happened 23 years ago in Greensboro, North Carolina, but just this week we heard from U.S. Marshals that an arrest has been made of a Spartanburg man in this cold case. He's in jail behind me. His name is Donald Preston Ferguson. Here is a booking photo of him. He is 52 years old. He is charged with a brutal sexual assault and killing of a 7-year-old girl. Authorities believe he's the man who strangled and sexually assaulted Shalonda Poole in 2014. He pled guilty and was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The similarities between the cases of Shalonda and Asha led investigators to look at him as a possible suspect, but they have not yet officially linked him to her disappearance. In 2015, the FBI joined the case to try and find out what had happened to Asha Degree, and in February of that year, they joined forces with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. A new lead came in May 2016, when someone came forward to report they had possibly seen her getting into either a dark green 1970s Lincoln Continental Marquis or possibly a Ford. In September 2017, the FBI enlisted the help of the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team to assist in the investigation. On the 20th anniversary of her disappearance, investigators confirmed that more evidence had been found in Asha's book bag, a copy of Dr. Seuss's Magellan's Pool, and New Kids on the Block t-shirt. The book was from Asha's school, Falston Elementary, and had been checked out in early 2000. They do not believe that either item was in her possession when she went missing. There are several theories as to what could have happened to Asha Degree. One theory: her parents put forward ways that she could have been influenced by a book she had been reading in school. The whipping boy tells the tale of a boy whose job it is to take punishments for a prince. The pair decide to escape their trouble and run away during the night, embarking on an exciting adventure before returning to the kingdom by the end of the book. Maybe Aisha had been inspired by this tale and wanted to take part in her own adventure. They also said that the basketball game for a few days before she had gone missing had been playing on her mind. Whilst her mood had improved, she continued to talk about it, and as it obviously upset her a great deal. Maybe she had run away because she was struggling to deal with the loss of the gamey. Another theory is that Asha had possibly been groomed by an adult predator, posing as the girl in the photograph. Potentially she had been lured out of her home by a trusted adult and a false pretenses before going to meet them. The billboard still stands where Asha had last been seen running into the woods. It's to remind people of her and to encourage anyone with information to come forward. Every year her family hold a walk in her memory and to ensure that her case is never forgotten. If you have any information relating to the disappearance or whereabouts of Asha Degree, then please contact either the FBI or the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.